The world is replete with conspiracy theories. Whenever any event happens, alternate theories as to the truth of the event begin appearing even as the event is still happening. Is this a method of divulging the truth, or just imagination running wild? If just one of the theories you hear in this program is true, then one must consider the ramifications of the validity of all of them. Napoleon said, "History is a set of lies agreed upon." Is our history all lies? Can the truth be told? Perhaps only you can determine what is truth and what is illusion. In March 2014, Malaysian Flight 370 took off bound for Beijing. After less than an hour in flight, the plane suddenly turned back and all communication from the airplane, including flight transponders, ceased to operate. The last words from the pilot was, "Good night." Military radar continued to follow the plane across Malaysia and out to sea towards the Malacca Strait, hundreds of miles from the last position recorded by civilian authorities. An international search began hours after the disappearance of Flight 370. No wreckage was ever found, and no trace of the plane exists today. There are many theories as to what happened to Flight 370. One persistent theory is electronic hijacking, meaning the plane was intentionally made communication silent so it could be flown to a secret location, perhaps to be used in an event yet to happen. This is called a false flag event. Critics claim that the official statement that the plane crashed into the Indian Ocean makes no sense. They note that a Boeing 777 does not have the structural integrity to survive crashing into the ocean, and that it would be like hitting a cement wall at terminal velocity. If Flight 370 hit the ocean, they say, it would have been broken into tens of thousands of pieces, many of which float on water, such as the seat cushions, and would be witnessed washing up on regional shores or easily spotted by search teams. What happened to Flight 370? The possibility of a simple hijacking has been brought up by various news outlets, including ABC News and Los Angeles Times. Speculation has mounted about the possibility of a remote island that the hijackers took the plane to, although no group has stepped forward to confirm that. However, unofficial researchers have identified more than 600 possible runways for the plane to land at. No confirmation has been received from Malaysian officials. Some speculate that aliens could have taken the plane and its passengers, or a new Bermuda Triangle engulfed the aircraft. However, the most logical explanation is that the plane is sitting in a hangar somewhere, waiting to be used in an attack, much like the destruction of the Twin Towers on 9/11. Most conspiracy theorists agree we have not seen the last of Flight 370. The internet is full of theories connecting the U.S. government with the 9/11 attacks. Some conspiracy theorists believe explosives planted in the World Trade Center days or even weeks before were the catalyst for their destruction after the plane struck. Many of these theorists believe the attacks were part of a false flag effort to allow the federal government to easily enact laws like the Patriot Act that would pave the way for consolidating totalitarian control over the populace. Though the Twin Towers do appear to have been destroyed by a demolition charge, Building 7 is far more interesting. Building 7 was next to the towers. It too appears to have been destroyed by demolition, but it was not hit by planes. In fact, it should have little to no damage at all. Building 7 housed field offices of the SEC, FBI, CIA, NSA, among others. It contained tons of information on corporate fraud that could, collectively, have constituted major crimes that would have put many individuals away for a few hundred years. Building 7 also housed several intelligence and law enforcement agencies and the New York City office of Emergency Management's Emergency Operations Center. If you want to get rid of any evidence of conspiracy, Building 7 would be a crucial target for destruction. If fire caused Building 7 to collapse, it would be the first ever fire-induced collapse of a steel frame high-rise. Building 7's collapse was not mentioned in the 9/11 Commission report. It took the federal government 7 years to conduct an investigation and issue a report for Building 7. In addition, 1,700 architects and engineers have signed a petition calling for a new investigation into the destruction of Building 7, specifying that it should include a full inquiry into the possible use of explosives. Numerous witnesses say the possibility of demolishing Building 7 was widely discussed by emergency personnel at the scene and advocated by the building's owner. Why was it so important that this building be destroyed during the 9/11 event? Similarly, the offices that were the target of the missile that struck the Pentagon were those of several auditors digging into $2.6 trillion in missing or untraceable money. In addition to the Twin Towers and Building 7, the World Trade Center complex included Buildings 3, 4, 5, and 6. Compared to Building 7, all of these buildings were severely damaged, first by falling rubble from the Twin Towers, and then by fires that burned for hours. Although these buildings were in critical condition, none of them collapsed. Was 9/11 a false flag event intended to hide a litany of corruption and criminal activity of the government? Was it intended to generate enough fear in which the government could set into motion the erosion of our civil liberties and create a police state? Since 9/11, our police now look far more like a military than officers, having received surplus military equipment from 2 wars due to 9/11. We have seen the creation of Homeland Security, the TSA, and the Patriot Act, all as a result of this one event. And as of date, we have discovered the NSA can and does spy on every American citizen. Are we living under a new world order? Look around and you decide. Project MKUltra, sometimes referred to as the CIA's Mind Control Program, is the code name of a U.S. government human research operation experimenting in the behavioral engineering of humans. Organized through the Scientific Intelligence Division of the Central Intelligence Agency, the project coordinated with the Special Operations Division of the U.S. Army's Chemical Corps. The program began in the early 1950s, was officially sanctioned in 1953, was reduced in scope in 1964, and further curtailed in 1967. It was officially halted in 1973. The program engaged in many illegal activities. In particular, it used unwitting U.S. and Canadian citizens as its test subjects, which led to controversy regarding its legitimacy. MKUltra uses numerous methodologies to manipulate people's mental states and alter brain functions, including the serendipitous administration of drugs, especially LSD, and other chemicals, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation, verbal and sexual abuse, as well as various forms of torture. The scope of Project MKUltra was broad, with research undertaken at 80 institutions, including 44 colleges and universities, as well as hospitals, prisons, and pharmaceutical companies. The CIA operated through these institutions using front organizations, although sometimes top officials at these institutions were aware of the CIA's involvement. The program consisted of some 149 sub-projects, with the agency contracted out to various universities, research foundations, and similar institutions. At least 80 institutions and 185 private researchers participated. Because the agency funded MKUltra indirectly, many of the participating individuals were unaware that they were dealing with the agency. Project MKUltra was first brought to public attention in 1975 by the Church Committee of the U.S. Congress and a Gerald Ford Commission to investigate CIA activities within the United States. Investigative efforts were hampered by the fact that in 1973, with the government-wide panic caused by Watergate, then CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all MKUltra files destroyed. The Church Committee and Rockefeller Commission investigations relied on the sworn testimony of direct participants and on the relatively small number of documents that survived Helms' destruction order. In 1977, a Freedom of Information Act request uncovered a cache of 20,000 documents related to Project MKUltra, which led to Senate hearings later that same year. In July 2001, some surviving information regarding MKUltra was officially declassified. The CIA poured millions of dollars into studies examining methods of influencing and controlling the mind, and of enhancing their ability to extract information from resistant subjects during interrogation. Some historians have asserted that creating a Manchurian candidate subject through mind control techniques was a goal of MKUltra and related CIA projects. A secret memorandum granted the MKUltra's director up to 6% of the CIA's research budget in fiscal year 1953, without oversight or accounting. An estimated $10 million or more was spent. By today's standards, that would be the equivalent of $87 million, and that is only what can be proven. Although the CIA insists that MKUltra type experiments have been abandoned, some CIA observers say there is little reason to believe it does not continue today. Victor Marchetti, author and 14-year CIA veteran, stated in various interviews that the CIA routinely conducted disinformation campaigns and that the CIA mind control research continues. In a 1977 interview, Marchetti specifically called the CIA claim that MKUltra was abandoned a cover story. Could the CIA, along with the NSA, be conducting experiments on unsuspecting citizens? Are the multitude of school, theater, and mass shootings a result of Manchurian candidates let loose on an unsuspecting nation? To what end? Many say for gun control and to systematically induce the public into relinquishing their liberties for a new totalitarian government. Are we simply subjects in some great experiment conducted by the system for an as yet unknown nefarious plan? Only you can decide. As part of MKUltra, LSD was used as well. The utterly unbelievable but true story involved using hookers to lure in unwitting Johns for undisclosed testing, narcotics agents who slipped drugs into drinks, and a U.S. Marshal who held up a San Francisco bar not knowing he was high on acid. The LSD experiments were purportedly carried out by the United States believing that Communist Russia, North Korea, and China were using the drug to brainwash captured Americans. Consequently, the CIA did not want to fall behind in developing and responding to this potentially useful technology. So incredibly, it decided to slip acid secretly to Americans at the beach, in city bars, at restaurants. For a decade, the CIA conducted completely uncontrolled tests in which they drugged people unknowingly, then followed and watched them without intervening. In some cases, the agency used the drug to perform interrogations, but these procedures were conducted so inconsistently that they proved equally useless in providing useful data. The official rhetoric on LSD from the government's anti-drug agencies was that it was extremely dangerous. LSD was quickly made illegal, and research into its potential as a treatment for alcoholism and other disorders was shut down. Wild claims about it damaging chromosomes and causing birth defects were distributed. But of course, the CIA had thought the drug was safe enough to randomly distribute to unwitting Americans without even debriefing them about their experiences or providing any measure to keep them safe. Just as one segment of the American population was starting to experiment with a drug they believed could produce peace and spiritual awakening, their government was using the same drug to try to brainwash people into compliance. The hippies mainly found unity and joy. The CIA, paranoia and fear. And this is not the first time the U.S. government has used drugs or disease tests on the populace. In 1956 and 1957, several U.S. Army biological warfare experiments were conducted on the cities of Savannah, Georgia, and Avon Park, Florida. In the experiments, Army biowarfare researchers released millions of infected mosquitoes on the two towns in order to see if the insects could potentially spread yellow fever. Hundreds of residents contracted a wide array of illnesses, including fevers, respiratory problems, stillbirths, and typhoid. Army researchers pretended to be public health workers so they could photograph and perform medical tests on the victims. Several people died as a result of the experiments. In the early 2000s, artificial blood was transfused into research subjects across the United States without their consent by Northfield Labs. Later studies showed the artificial blood caused a significant increase in the risk of heart attacks and death. The Tuskegee syphilis experiment was an infamous clinical study conducted between 1932 and 1972 by the United States Public Health Service to study the natural progression of untreated syphilis in rural African American men who thought they were receiving free health care from the U.S. government. The Public Health Service started working with the Tuskegee Institute in 1932. Investigators enrolled in the study a total of 600 impoverished sharecroppers from Macon County, Alabama. 399 of those men had previously contracted syphilis before the study began, and 201 did not have the disease. The men were given free medical care, meals, and free burial insurance for participating in the study. They were never told they had syphilis, nor were they ever treated for it. According to the Center for Disease Control, the men were told they were being treated for bad blood, a local term for various illnesses that include syphilis, anemia, and fatigue. In 1987, the United States Supreme Court ruled in United States v. Stanley that a U.S. serviceman who was given LSD without his consent as part of the military experiments could not sue the U.S. Army for damages. What recourse do we have as citizens of the United States when even our highest courts are powerless to protect us? Conspiracy believers commonly argue that Earth governments, especially the government of the United States, are in communication and/or cooperation with extraterrestrials, despite public claims to the contrary. And further, that some of these theories claim that the governments are explicitly allowing alien abductions. Some individuals suggest that they have been abducted, with some among them saying that they were also subjected to extensive medical examinations, and others added that tissue samples, including sperm and ova, were taken from them. The contention that there is a widespread cover-up of UFO information is not limited to the general public or the UFO research community. In 1947, the United States Air Force issued a press release stating that a flying disc had been recovered near Roswell, New Mexico. This press release was quickly withdrawn, and officials stated that a weather balloon had been misidentified. The Roswell case quickly faded even from the attention of most ufologists until the 1970s. There's been continued speculation that an alien spacecraft did indeed crash near Roswell, despite the official denial. For example, retired Brigadier General Arthur E. Exon, former commanding officer of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, told researchers Kevin D. Randall and Donald R. Schmidt that a spacecraft had crashed, alien bodies were recovered, and the event was covered up by the United States government. Exon further claimed he was aware of a very secretive UFO controlling committee made up primarily of high-ranking military officers and intelligence people. His nickname for this group was the Unholy 13. The so-called Majestic 12 documents surfaced in 1982, suggesting that there was a secret high-level United States government interest in UFOs dating to the 1940s. There have been allegations of suppression of UFO-related evidence for many decades. There are also conspiracy theories which claim that physical evidence might have been removed and/or destroyed or suppressed by some governments. According to some conspiracy theorists, during the military investigation of green fireballs in New Mexico, UFOs were photographed by a tracking camera over White Sands Proving Grounds on April 27th of 1949. They claimed that the final report in 1951 on the Green Fireball investigation claimed there was insufficient data for determining anything. Conspiracy theorists claim that documents later uncovered by Dr. Bruce Maccabee indicate that triangulation was accomplished. The conspiracy theorists also claim that the data reduction and photographs showed 4 objects about 30 feet in diameter flying in formation at high speed at an altitude of about 30 miles. According to conspiracy theorists, Maccabee says this result was apparently suppressed from the final report. According to one theory related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, the CIA killed Kennedy in order to prevent him from leaking information to the Soviet Union about a covert program to reverse engineer alien technology. Nick Cook, an aviation investigative journalist for Jane's Information Group and researcher of Billion Dollar Secret and author of The Hunt for Zero Point, claims to have uncovered documentary evidence that top-secret U.S. defense industry technology has been developed by government-backed defense industry programs beginning in the 1940s and using research conducted by Nazi scientists during World War II, recovered by Allied military intelligence, and then taken to the United States and developed further with collaboration of the same former German scientists at top-secret facilities established at White Sands, New Mexico, and later at Area 51, allegedly resulting in production of real-world prototype operational supersonic craft actually tested and used in clandestine military exercises, with other developments incorporated later into spy aircraft tasked with overflying hostile countries. The UFO story that evidence of alien technology is being suppressed and removed or destroyed was generated and then promoted by the CIA beginning 1947 as false lead disinformation to cover it all up for the sake of national security, particularly during the Cold War, at a time when investigations found the Soviet Union was also developing its own top-secret, high-tech UFO craft. In November 1989, Bob Lazar appeared in a special interview with investigative reporter George Knapp on Las Vegas television station KLAS to discuss his alleged employment at Area 51 and S4. In his interview with Knapp, Lazar said he first thought the saucers were secret terrestrial aircraft, whose test flights must have been responsible for many UFO reports. Gradually, on closer examination, and from having been shown multiple briefing documents, Lazar came to the conclusion that the discs must have been of extraterrestrial origin. In his film testimony, Lazar explains how his impression first hit him after he boarded the craft under study and examined the interior. For the propulsion of the studied vehicles, Bob Lazar claims that the atomic element 115 served as a nuclear fuel. Element 115 reportedly provided an energy source which would produce anti-gravity effects under proton bombardment, along with the production of antimatter used for energy production. Lazar's website says that if the intense, strong nuclear field of element 115's nucleus was properly amplified, the resulting effect would be a distortion of the surrounding gravitational field, allowing the vehicle to immediately shorten the distance to a charted destination. Lazar also claims that he was given introductory briefings describing the historical involvement with our planet for 10,000 years by extraterrestrial beings originating from the Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2 star system. These beings are therefore referred to as Zeta Reticulans, popularly called Greys. Lazar says he has degrees from the California Institute of Technology and Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Another popular conspiracy theory is that Illuminati Freemasons secretly control many major aspects of society and government and are working to establish the New World Order, and that humanoid reptiles are behind secret societies like the Freemasons and the Illuminati. The idea of reptilians on Earth was popularized by David Icke, a conspiracy theorist who claims shape-shifting reptilian aliens control Earth by taking on human form and gaining political power to manipulate our societies. Icke has claimed on multiple occasions that many of the world leaders are or are possessed by reptilians ruling the world. As early as 1934, a Los Angeles Times article reported that a geophysical mining engineer claimed to have discovered subterranean labyrinths beneath Los Angeles to an underground city built by an advanced race of lizard people to escape surface catastrophes some 5,000 years ago. Since the late 1970s, extraterrestrials from other habitable planets or parallel dimensions, such as the Greys, and intraterrestrials from Hollow Earth, such as reptilians, have been included in the New World Order conspiracy, in more or less dominant roles, as in the theories put forward by American writers Stan Deyo, Milton William Cooper, and British writer David Icke. The common theme in these conspiracy theories is that aliens have been among us for decades, centuries, or even millennia, but a government cover-up enforced by Men in Black have shielded the public from knowledge of a secret alien invasion. Motivated by speciesism and imperialism, these aliens have been and are secretly manipulating developments and changes in human society in order to more efficiently control and exploit human beings. In some theories, alien infiltrators have shapeshifted into human form and move freely throughout human society, even to the point of taking control of command positions in governmental, corporate, and religious institutions, and are now in the final stages of their plan to take over the world. A covert government agency of the United States, codenamed Majestic 12, is often imagined to be the shadow government which collaborates with the alien occupation and permits alien abductions in exchange for assistance in the development and testing of military flying saucers at Area 51 in order for U.S. armed forces to achieve full spectrum dominance. Claiming that corporations and government are planning to track every move of consumers and citizens with RFID chips as the latest step towards a 1984-like surveillance state, consumer privacy advocates such as Catherine Albright and Liz McIntyre have become Christian conspiracy theorists who believe spy chips must be resisted because they argue that modern database and communications technologies, coupled with point-of-sale data capture equipment and sophisticated ID and authentication systems, now make it possible to require a biometrically associated number or mark to make purchases. They fear that the ability to implement such a system closely resembles the number of the beast prophesied in the book of Revelation. In January 2002, the Information Awareness Office was established by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, to bring together several DARPA projects focused on applying information technology to counter asymmetric threats to national security. Following public criticism that the development and deployment of these technologies could potentially lead to a mass surveillance system, the IAO was defunded by the United States Congress in 2003. The second source of controversy involved IAO's original logo, which depicted the all-seeing eye of Providence atop of a pyramid looking down on the globe, accompanied by the Latin phrase Scientia est potential, which means knowledge is power. Although DARPA eventually removed the logo from its website, it left a lasting impression on privacy advocates. It also inflamed conspiracy theorists, who interpret the eye of the pyramid as the Masonic symbol of the Illuminati. Social critics accuse governments, corporations, and the mass media of being involved in the manufacturing of a national consensus and, paradoxically, a culture of fear due to the potential for increased social control that a mistrustful and mutually fearing population might offer to those in power. The worst fear of some conspiracy theorists, however, is that the New World Order will be implemented through the use of mind control, a broad range of tactics available to subvert an individual's control of his or her own thinking, behavior, emotions, or decisions. American right-wing populist conspiracy theorists, especially those who joined the militia movement in the United States, speculate that the New World Order will be implemented through a dramatic coup d'etat by a secret team using black helicopters in the U.S. and other nation states to bring about a totalitarian world government controlled by the United Nations and enforced by troops of foreign UN peacekeepers. These conspiracy theorists, who are all strong believers in a right to keep and bear arms, are extremely fearful that the passing of any gun control legislation will be later followed by the abolishment of personal gun ownership and a campaign of gun confiscation, and that the refugee camps of emergency management agencies such as FEMA will be used for the internment of suspected subversives, making little effort to distinguish true threats to the New World Order from pacifist dissidents. One need only to view American media to see that many of the New World Order plans are already in place. It's only a matter of time for all of the controls to be in place. If aliens do exist, and they are in collusion with our governments, then why haven't we seen advanced technology from our extraterrestrial partners? Many say we have, and it's all around us. Since the now famous 1947 UFO crash in Roswell, we have seen our technology advance at a near light speed pace. From fiber optics, computers, and advanced textiles such as Kevlar to our modern cell phones and tablets, we have advanced in multiple industries in just the past 50 years. How did all these technological advances happen so quickly? Many believe it is a direct result of Roswell and other crash retrievals of extraterrestrial craft. United States Army Colonel Philip J. Corso published The Day After Roswell in 1997, 1 year before his death. The book claims that an extraterrestrial spacecraft crashed near Roswell, New Mexico in 1947 and was recovered by the United States government, who then sought to cover up all evidence of extraterrestrials. Corso claims that he was assigned to a secret government program that provided some material recovered from crashed spacecraft to private industry, without saying where the items came from, to reverse engineer them for corporate use. Corso was a special assistant to Lieutenant General Arthur Trudeau, who headed Army Research and Development and was in charge of the Foreign Technology Desk. In his position, he would take technological artifacts obtained from Russia, German, and other foreign sources and have American companies reverse engineer that technology. The book contends that several aspects of modern technology, such as fiber optics and computer chips, were developed by using information taken from the craft. Colonel Corso also claims that the world was at war with extraterrestrials, and that the Strategic Defense Initiative project was part of that campaign that was successfully concluded in Earth's favor. Corso says a covert government group was assembled under the leadership of the first director of the Central Intelligence Agency, Admiral Roscoe H. Hillenkotter, a member of the Majestic 12 Group. Among its tasks was to collect all information on off-planet technology as the U.S. government simultaneously discounted the existence of flying saucers in the eyes of the public. According to Corso, the reverse engineering of these artifacts indirectly led to the development of accelerated particle beam devices, fiber optics, lasers, integrated circuit chips, and Kevlar material. Although some investigators reject Corso's claims, there can be no doubt about his credentials. After joining the Army in 1942, he served in Army intelligence in Europe. During the Korean War, he continued his intelligence studies under General Douglas MacArthur. He rounded out an impressive resume with 4 years on President Dwight Eisenhower's national security staff. Corso also claimed that he saw the alien bodies from the Roswell crash and the secret Pentagon files regarding the incident. He stated that the Pentagon had bodies of aliens shipped to the Walter Reed Hospital in Washington, D.C. Autopsies were done on the dead aliens there. He also tells us that America's best scientists were stumped by the extraordinary technological marvels in the alien craft. Corso also claims that the government cover-up was not only to hide the truth of extraterrestrial intelligence from the public, but also to allow the time needed for the reverse engineering process to be protected from foreign countries, especially the Russians. On June 8, 1998, Colonel Corso swore on oath to the truth and validity of all statements made in his book. Could a Cold War with extraterrestrials have occurred with the public blind to its outcome? Did aliens crash near Roswell, New Mexico in the 1940s? And do we owe our technological advances to the Greys from Zeta Reticuli? And are we advancing too fast for the public to keep up, resulting in a new world order? Subjecting American individuals to disease and drugs is one thing, but when entire cities, towns, and states are bombarded with chemicals from the air, it is yet another. For decades, citizens have become aware of unusual chemical trails in the sky emitted from aircraft. According to the chemical conspiracy theory, long-lasting trails left in the sky by high-flying aircraft are chemical or biological agents deliberately sprayed for sinister purposes, undisclosed to the general public. Believers in the theory argue that normal contrails dissipate relatively quickly, and contrails that do not dissipate must contain additional substances. These arguments have been dismissed by the scientific community. They contend such trails are simply normal water-based condensation trails, which are routinely left by high-flying aircraft under certain atmospheric conditions. Believers in the conspiracy theory speculate that the purpose of the claimed chemical release may be for solar radiation management, psychological manipulation, human population control, weather modification, or biological or chemical warfare, and that the trails are causing respiratory illness and other health problems. Official statements on the non-existence of chemtrails have not discouraged the conspiracy theorists. Various versions of the chemical conspiracy theory have propagated via the internet and radio programs. There are websites dedicated to the conspiracy theory, and it is particularly favored by right-wing groups since it fits well with deep suspicion of government. In some of the accounts, the chemicals are described as barium and aluminum salts, polymer fibers, thorium, or silicon carbide. Other accounts allege that the skies are being seeded with electronically conductive materials as part of a massive electromagnetic superweapons program based around the High Frequency Active Oral Research Program, or HAARP. Those who believe in the conspiracy say the contrails are toxic, but the reasons given by those who believe in the conspiracy vary widely, ranging from military weapons testing to chemical population control to climate control. Scientists and federal agencies have consistently denied that chemtrails exist, insisting the sky tracks are simply persistent contrails. Proponents of the theory of the existence of chemtrails characterize this phenomenon as streams that persist for hours and that, with their crisscross, grid-like or parallel stripe patterns, eventually blend to form large clouds. In 2001, U.S. Congressman Dennis Kucinich introduced the H.R. 2977 bill, a Space Preservation Act of 2001 document that would have permanently prohibited the basing of weapons in space, listing chemtrails as one of a number of exotic weapons that would be banned. Proponents have interpreted this explicit reference to chemtrails as official government acknowledgement of their existence. In 2014, the entire world was gripped with fear as an Ebola pandemic spread from Africa. Ebola hemorrhagic fever, or simply Ebola, is a disease of humans and other primates caused by the Ebola virus. Signs and symptoms typically start between 2 days and 3 weeks after contracting the virus, as a fever with a sore throat, muscle pain, and headaches. Then, vomiting, diarrhea, and rash usually follow, along with decreased function of the liver and kidneys. Some people begin to bleed both internally and externally. Death follows typically 6 to 16 days after symptoms appear and is often due to low blood pressure from fluid loss. On September 30th, 2014, the first confirmed case of Ebola in the United States was diagnosed. The patient died 8 days later. The Daily Observer, a Liberian newspaper, published an article alleging that the virus was not what it seemed, a medical disaster, but rather a bioweapon designed by the United States military to depopulate the planet. Not long after the accusations appeared online contending that the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention had patented the virus and was poised to make a fortune from a new vaccine it had created with the pharmaceutical industry. There were even reports that the New World Order, a classic conspiracy element involving global elites, had engineered Ebola in order to impose quarantines, travel bans, and eventually martial law. The idea that health officials are conspiring with big pharmaceutical companies to conspicuously spread, then cure Ebola as a profit-making venture might sound like the plot to a summer thriller, but in fact, it touches on a genuine aspect of our healthcare system. The model certainly seems to fit the allegation that the Department of Defense created Ebola in a military lab to loose on the world as a Malthusian device to reduce the population. Outbreaks as a genre have long attracted conspiracy theorists, beginning in medieval times when the Jewish leaders of Toledo, Spain were blamed for having spread the Black Plague. More recently, the AIDS epidemic was also said to have been caused by a government plot. America is a place where people are so willing to remain willfully hypnotized by socially accepted delusions that they still think JFK was assassinated by a lone gunman, and that the World Trade Center Building 7 collapsed in perfect symmetry due to a small office fire. We are all living in a nation dominated by delusional people who are sleepwalking through a fictional construct, which is precisely why they are so psychologically shocked when something happens that they never considered. The best way to stop a disease is through prevention, yet the government resisted halting flights from the affected countries to the United States, effectively allowing the contagion into many countries. The Center for Disease Control, the world's most prestigious pandemic control center, appeared unprepared and inept when Ebola was first discovered in the United States. Was this action taken to allow pharmaceutical companies time to watch the spread and prepare to release an antidote they had already developed and patented? The CDC's protocol is based on assumptions about Ebola that do not seem to be true for the recent strain. A nurse who treated the Ebola patient in Dallas, who died, was given the green light to fly commercially, even though she reported to the CDC that she had symptoms. She exposed 132 passengers on the flight, and these passengers have since been in contact with thousands of other people. Many conspiracy theorists contend that the Ebola outbreak was orchestrated to allow the government to send troops to Africa so they may enact efforts to control vital diamond and other industries existing there and currently under the control of African militants. The Obama regime sent 4,000 U.S. soldiers to West Africa to fight Ebola. Soldiers don't have training or equipment with which to combat Ebola. They exposed 4,000 Americans to an epidemic. This seemingly pointless decision has raised suspicions that Washington is exposing troops to Ebola so that vaccines or treatments can be tested on the troops. Other commentators have noticed that West Africa is an area of Chinese investments. They wonder if Washington is using the cover of Ebola to occupy the countries or even set the disease loose in order to drive out the Chinese. The new U.S. Africa Command was formed to counteract Chinese economic penetration in Africa. Suffice it to say, now that America and other Western countries have been exposed to Ebola, we have not seen the end to this conspiracy element. We also know that the government has exposed its citizens to pathogens before, and they appear to be doing it yet again. Is Ebola yet another control mechanism in the government arsenal to push further towards a new world order? One need only pick up a current newspaper to see where laws have been subverted to gain more control over the populace. Fear is the key. The more afraid you can make the population feel, the more control you can easily take. And fear is driving our country in its politics, government, and society. The word conspiracy simply means an evil, unlawful, treacherous, or serendipitous plan formulated in secret by two or more persons. It is an action taken by some to bring about a conclusionary concurrence in action, a combination in bringing about a given result. Though we often think of conspiracy theories as odd or just overactive imaginations, we know many ideas that were once conspiracy theories have indeed come to fruition. One need only to become aware and pay attention to today's headlines to see where many of our fears are exploited so governments can wrest more control. How long do atrocities need to continue until the population begins to wake up to the realities surrounding us? It is our hope that through this program you are now fully awake, and that you, as a citizen, will do your part to circumvent further erosion of your civil liberties. After all, it's your new world order, not theirs.